So I recently had a close call with my dad. He was in a car accident in Kalihi. He's okay, he made it okay. He went to work the next day, but it got me thinking a lot about what it would be like to lose one or both of my parents, especially as they're getting older. I follow this YouTuber named Casey who has a Camera Conspiracies channel and a Vegetable Police channel, and he recently lost his mom. And in a video, he just shared some memories about his mom. And after watching the video, I thought to myself, well, why wait to talk about my parents? And so I want to share one special memory that I have of each of them, as well as reflect back on one thing that I'm gonna miss when they're gone. This video is gonna be for them and for myself, but I think really it's gonna be for my kids and maybe their kids one day, that they can look back and hear stories and memories about their grandparents, their great-grandparents, especially as I remember them here in Hawaii. And because family is so important, I think it's important to remember these things. And maybe for others, this can serve as a reminder to cherish your parents while they're still here and to hold on to those memories so that you don't forget them. By the way, I think I might do this standing up. I don't know, it just seems better that way. Now, when I think back to my mom, I have a lot of collective memories of her mostly working late. She brought home a lot of work, and she would start work at like 10 p.m. sometimes after we were asleep. And I used to wonder, how in the world could she do that? You know, like, I'm exhausted from golf or school, and yet my mom is out there in the living room working on files, and she did that for years. But the one memory I'm gonna have of her is when she was gonna retire. After a career in working in finance and banking for my whole life, basically, before my life, she finally had the opportunity to retire. And I remember we were gonna take this family trip, and she wasn't sure whether she should retire before the trip or come back after the trip and work another 4 months and then retire at the end of the year. And I remember telling her, just retire now. Don't worry, the company will survive without you, they'll be fine, but please, just retire now so you don't have to worry about work when you come back, because of course, after missing a couple of weeks of work, the work piles up and you're gonna have to then do the work. And I told her, just retire now. The company will be fine, they'll get along without you, and they did. And I'm glad she took my advice, because we had a great family trip, and when we got back, my mom just didn't have to go to work anymore. After 30 plus years of working early in the morning and then working late, bringing her files home, she didn't have anything to do. And I'm really proud of her for her career. Not only did it allow us to afford to play golf and do all these other things, but yeah, I think back to how hard my mom worked overall, over her entire career. And that's the one thing that I'll remember most about her. And she did it for her family. She didn't do it for herself. I don't know if she even enjoyed the work, frankly. But I'm really proud of her for working hard for us. And I recognize that. I recognized that back then. I recognized that back then, but especially recognize that right now. And as the wind is blowing, perhaps I should pick up the camera. Now, the one thing I'm gonna miss about my mom when she's gone is how giving she is, her spirit of generosity. And maybe you have a mom like this too here. I don't know if it's a Hawaii thing or maybe it's just a Japanese thing or just a mom thing. But my mom loves to buy things, especially snacks for me. Not just when I was away, and she would put care packages together and put furikake on top, or juice or soup, which I could buy up on the mainland, but kakimochi and popcorn, and she just knew all, you know, diamond bakery crackers. She just knew exactly what I loved. And over the years, she's continued to do that for me and for my kids. I still get from Wholesale Unlimited kakimochi. I still get taro chips whenever she goes to Costco from Hawaiian Chip Company, or Diamond Bakery crackers. She just buys me the whole sleeve, and she's like, yeah, this was on sale at Long's, here you go. And I'm like, Mom, no need. She's like, no, here. Of course I take it and I eat it because I'm her son. But my mom just loves buying things for me and my brother, but I know especially she likes to buy things for me. And there's this running joke that I have with my brother about, you know, you gotta be real careful about what you tell my mom that you like, especially when it comes to food, because once she finds out that you like something, she will always be on the lookout for that, and she will always buy it for you. And so there's been times where I had to tell my mom, like, Mom, I don't like this anymore, please stop buying. And usually it takes a few reminders from me to her, but that's just the kind of person that she is. You know, she just loves to buy snacks for us and for now my kids, her grandkids, and I'm just really appreciative of that. It's one thing I'm gonna miss. I can go to the store and buy it myself, but having someone think about you and be thoughtful to what you need, you know, that's something that really only a mom in that sense can do. Look at all the sea anemones, or according to Finding Nemo, anemones. Yeah, don't hurt yourself. One of my favorite jokes in that movie. Now, when it comes to my dad, I have a pretty special relationship with my dad, and there are a lot of memories, especially when it comes to golf. So I couldn't boil it down to one, so I got two memories that I'm gonna always really remember. The first is a collective memory about golf and how much my dad really cared about my golf. God, I'm starting to get choked up, and he's not even, yeah, he's not gone, but I'm starting to get choked up just thinking about it. But the collective memory of my dad and golf. We would practice golf and play. I mean, we were playing every weekend in season. We were practicing 5 times a week after school, and my dad would be there. And the thing about my dad was he would sit there and watch and wait for us. He didn't drop us off. He didn't, well, there weren't cell phones back then, but he didn't get distracted or do something else. My dad would, during practice, we're at the driving range or we're at the putting green, my dad would just sit there and watch us. And at the time, I didn't really get it. I figured he had other things to do, or like other parents, they just dropped their kids off and they came back 2 or 3 hours later. But no, my dad would just sit there and watch us, and he would probably take mental notes about certain things that we did, but he didn't complain, he didn't say anything. He wouldn't say anything to the coach, or he wouldn't say anything to us. He would just watch us. And you know, it's very important, I see, that just having your parents there, they don't have to say anything. They just gotta be there, and that's so valuable. And I'm really grateful for that. And you know, this extends to golf tournaments too. You know, golf tournaments typically about 4 to 6 hours. My dad would just bring us to the course, make sure we're all good. We'd go out and we'd play, and my dad would just sit there at the clubhouse. And sometimes there were some holes that you could see from where he was sitting, or the clubhouse. I think maybe, I'm just thinking back, you could probably see hole 1, 2, maybe, you know, 9, 10, 17, and 18. So you could see a good third of the golf holes, and he could spot us. But for a lot of that time, my dad was just sitting around. You know, maybe he'd go grab something to eat and bring it back, but my dad would just sit around and wait and watch us. And I remember playing golf, I sometimes would look back and be like, where's my dad? And of course, you know, I could recognize my dad because he's like the only parent. You know, he would have this hat, but he's like the only parent like waiting around, and very easy to spot. And just having him there, thinking back to all those times, like, it's just really impressive now that I'm a dad, but also just, it felt really great. And you know, it's one of the memories that, you know, I will have of my dad. Okay. Whew. Okay. Can't be talking about golf because I get too emotional when talking about golf. But the second memory that I have of my dad is years later, when my dad received a national award, and we flew down to Atlanta. And that trip was hard for me because I got extremely jet lag, and for days I remember I couldn't sleep. But we went for my dad because he was receiving this national recognition, this national award. And I remember at the conference, you know, my dad is my dad, right? I just view him as my dad. I don't think of him in a professional light. I know he's done a lot of great things professionally, but I don't I don't really think about that because he's just my dad, right? But at this conference, when he got the award, we walked around, and I think we were the only family out of all of the other awardees that year. I think there may be 2 or 3 others. We were the only family that was entirely there. It was me, my mom, my brother. We came to support him. Of course, he got laid, and all that stuff. We gave him the nice lay, and but what impressed me the most was when we walked around that conference, his colleagues from other places, other parts of the country, they came up to us and they talked to us and they said, I'm really glad your dad's getting this award. It's well deserved. He's been involved in this field for years, and it's just really great, and you should be real proud of him. And hearing that from my dad's colleagues to me was, it's I don't know what that is, that feeling of pride when it's a parent that you're proud of, because as a parent now I recognize that I'm proud of my boys for doing certain things, and that's a different type of pride because it's coming from me to them. It's coming from top down in a way. But when you have pride the other way, I feel like that's very special because you don't oftentimes get to feel that. You don't oftentimes get the chance to feel it, especially when they're around. So I was really proud of him, and to hear that from his colleagues, I just thought that was amazing. By the way, I'm glad I'm doing this video now because I don't know, it would be tough to do it later on. But yeah, just really proud of them. Now, the thing I'm gonna miss the most from my dad, a lot of things, but I'm gonna miss his emails. My dad's been sending me emails since I had an email account back in like 2000, but mostly it started when I went away to school in Colorado, and my dad would email me probably at least once a day, mostly just asking how I was doing, and you need anything, and just checking up on me. And in the beginning of getting all these emails back when I was younger, I didn't really know I should write back to him. And so my dad would get mad. He'd be like, if I send you an email, just send me back 1 or 2 sentences. And so from then on, I've always done my best to try to reply back to my dad, at least 1 or 2 sentences on, how things are going. And I'm really glad that I've kept all those emails even years later. I have a special folder in my inbox just for dad messages. And again, most of them are just questions. How you doing? Or, hey, I heard the weather is really cold, hope you're keeping warm. Just small things like that. How was finals? But we've kept in constant communication as I've grown into an adult and taking care of myself. And that even applies to today. I still get emails from my dad probably 2 to 3 times a day. Maybe, I don't know. It depends if we're busy or not. But he wants to know how the boys are doing. He wants to know how I'm doing at work. And again, I try to reply back to him as soon as I can because I know how important it is. And we're only, we're here in town, right? We're here in town, and my dad and them are only like in Kaneohe, like 20, 30 minutes away. So it's not even that far. But he still wants to know how they're doing. He still wants to know how I'm doing and how our family's doing. And I'm gonna miss that, and it's one of the things that I think years from now, I'm glad that I'm gonna have all of these emails from him, and it won't be like live emails. It won't be like real, like he's sending it in real time, but I have enough emails to probably archive that, and I don't know if I could send myself emails, but I have probably email for every single day of the year, like of a calendar year. And I could probably look back and read them for that particular day in the various years that he sent me all of these emails. But yeah, I think I'm gonna miss that from him. But I'm really thankful that, he sends me these emails now. And yeah, I'm just very, very grateful. All right. Whew. This was hard to talk about. I don't know how Casey did it in his video. Whew. Again, my parents are still around. but just thinking about that, it's pretty hard. And I think that has a lot to do with our family. I think it has a lot to do with growing up here in Hawaii. You just, you know, it's tough. And I know eventually when that time happens for me, yeah, it's gonna be hard. But you know, I'm thankful for the relationships that I do have with both my parents, and you know, just try to think about all the good times and really appreciate them how they are now. You know, I'll be able to share all these stories and memories with my kids. I want to make sure that I remember them all, not just, you know, they start to fade and we just build memories with just ourselves. But I want to make sure that I preserve those memories because they're really important. And I've interviewed them and I have videos just for our family where they're just talking story, and it's probably pretty boring to other people, but it's going to be important for me one day, important for my kids one day, just to hear their voice, because I know with my grandma, them being gone, you have the image of that person, but man, you cannot remember how they sound. Eventually their voice just fades, and it's such a weird thing, but I have a hard time remembering their voices, my grandma, my grandpa, them. And we have all this video technology and all this server space. I'm just trying to capture their voices. They could be talking about whatever, ordering food from Zippy's or just talking story about anything. I just want to make sure that I capture that, because I know I'm going to forget it one day. And hopefully if my boys are watching this, they'll remember my voice. So anyway, whew, tough video. So anyway, I just want to share this. Thanks for watching, and aloha.